Hey guys, this is Aisha Shelton with the Marriage and Real Estate Podcast.
And this is Kevin Shelton. I guess we're saying Marriage and Real Estate Podcast now.
Welcome back.
Hey.
Hey.
And these are the facets.
Facets.
Hi.
Introduce yourselves for the people, please.
I'm Ashley Fassit.
I'm the husband.
I'm a husband.
I'm a husband. I'm
He
Greg
don't have
Fassit.
no name, but he swing
I
big
go by
thanks.
The husband. But yeah, I'm Greg Fassit.
Greg Fassit. Keep it cool today,
Why?
because we have company.
These are friends,
Please.
though.
Okay, chill out.
All right, fine. Fine. I'm going to be tame because Aisha's my boss.
So we have friends today, and that's fun.
You're so
Thank you
stiff. You
for
got to, relax.
Inviting us.
You are welcome. And I think we're just gonna freestyle today, right?
Yeah, we're just going to talk.
That's life, ain't it?
It is. We are two couples that are married.
Aisha get in Hollywood, man.
We do
You
real
like
estate
stiff.
and
You look like a
stuff.
news reporter. You got to relax.
That's
Relax
that
all
blaze.
your
If you
muscles.
look at the previous podcast, I was relaxed and I look like this, like a couch potato. So I'm trying to
Gotcha. Hold on, let me.
elongate my back. You look so handsome over there.
Oh, now I look at while I hold my breath.
No,
Anyway.
we
What's
have
up,
friends.
Facets?
We have friends.
Not
We have
much.
friends. We're talking
Yes.
about we are married. We do real estate and stuff.
And stuff.
And stuff. And stuff. And so today we'll talk about marriage and real estate and stuff.
And
It
stuff.
works.
All right, cool.
Kevin?
So I wrote some random stuff for us to talk about. But first thing I wanted to talk about is collective couple economics. So that's one of the things that us four particularly have been focusing on for at least the last year or so. So working together to see how we can not only pool resources, but pool energy and effort to build wealth for both our families at the same time. And I think that's a super hot topic right now, collective consciousness, collective fundraising, collective buying the block,
economics.
and
Yeah.
all that good jazz. So, but yeah, so I guess let's talk about how we kind of came together to think about what we wanted to do and then how other couples maybe can do the same. Greg, kick it off.
Sure. I think just looking at economics in and of itself, we think about the advancement of iron sharpening iron. So that's something that you and I really connected on, which is, hey, how do I take some of the knowledge and experience that I have, implement it, and then share it, right, with the community at large, especially from a friendship standpoint when you get to know people. And then vice versa. How do I be super open and then seeking to learn some things that can help me grow? And I think that's something that's pivotal for us in the Black community is we have to be open and willing, and then we have to take some of that information and put it into action.
So tell the people about some of the things you do professionally and then on the side.
Sure. So professionally, I am an executive in a Fortune 500 company. So been doing that for about 9 years. Employed entrepreneur is how I like to consider it. But separate and apart from that, pre-corporate America, I was an NFL athlete for about 4 years, Super Bowl champion, a couple of cool things, right? So definitely appreciate some of the things that I learned in that industry. And I take a lot of that into the entrepreneurship space as well as the corporate America piece. And then lastly, outside of the real estate part that you hit on, investor. So stock market, definitely a great opportunity when you think about building long-term wealth. for
If you
sure.
follow Greg, he drops a lot of jewels on IG lives and stuff about the stock market. He's been killing the stock market game. And then Mrs. Fassit, please tell the people about yourself.
Oh, where do I start?
She's
A mother of
amazing.
three.
Amazing.
Thank you. Mother of three and
Mother of 3.5.
Yeah.
Is what she really trying to say.
basically. So I pretty much run my household just like a corporation. So that's one, top and foremost. And then I cosmetology for 10 plus years. I owned my own salon, and I still kind of do clients here and there. I'm also a real estate agent, and and then I do decor.
More
and
than just
interior.
decor.
Interior design extraordinaire.
Man.
Extraordinaire.
That is
She chop it
really-
up, she stage it out, she
That's-
make it pretty, she make it work. So
That's my passion for real. It's like not working, but working.
Absolutely. So I think it'd be pertinent for us to share how these two couples came together. And I have to be honest, I don't remember.
it's
I know,
super
right?
weird.
It's been a minute. Time is like crazy.
It hasn't been that long.
It's been like 2 years.
It's been 2 years.
All right.
So
this past year, because of COVID, we don't count it.
Yeah,
but it's
right.
that's true. COVID is definitely
You
the
don't
year
count
that
it.
like time skips.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Asterisk.
2021 will not be the same.
Yeah,
But
we'll see.
we're not
We
gonna
felt
lie.
that way
Blur.
about 2020. Everybody was all excited, like 2020 vision. This my year.
that was in January.
Hashtag.
Come March, everybody's
No,
like,
I know, but that's
But
what I'm
as I
saying.
said, we almost
Oh,
have
we
we
almost
don't,
in
we
March.
don't
That's
know
good.
what
Recycling.
2021
We're
will
cycling.
bring.
that's a good point. That's a good
I mean,
point.
you know, we got vaccines and stuff, so hopefully people will get
we're
vaccinated.
gonna manifest.
Herd immunity. And
I'll take it.
all that
I'll
good
take
stuff.
it.
So yeah, so how did this partnership, this couple partnership, come about?
So we first met Ashley at a real estate panel in 2018, going into 2019
Do you agree?
with
It
Rachel.
was
She looks skeptical.
Memory.
no,
wasn't
no,
that-
that's true.
Yeah, was
Yeah,
that in
that's
2018 or that
accurate.
2019?
It was 2018 going into 2019.
Yeah.
And she actually came home after said event and mentioned like, hey, there's this guy that I'd like for you to meet. I think
You
you
could
guys
be
have some
husband
things-
friends.
some things in common, like minded. And it's
Right.
funny because that's how we kicked off the podcast, right?
Yeah.
Like talking about that concept. And I was like, oh, okay. And she knows me, right? Like, so she knows I'm interested in people who are interesting.
Oh,
right?
that's cool. I'll take that.
And I'm always looking to maximize time. So like, hey, I'd love for us to be able to get to know each other and hang
Yeah.
as males.
He
But
is not
iron
going. He's
sharpens
not gonna
iron.
make it. He's not gonna make friends.
So if
with
I was just
some-
trying to drink beers and watch
No.
the game, you wouldn't be
Nah.
my
I'm
friend.
straight on that, brother.
I understand it and I respect it and it makes sense, of course. But sometimes I'm like, can you just get out the house a little bit?
I think that's a problem we all have, though. Like, it's funny, the friendship group we have is a collective of people who really ain't had that many friends like that. And it wasn't that we're not friendly. It's just we really trying to go somewhere, and you need friends who are
Right.
also trying to
So
go
let me be
places.
transparent from a wife's perspective. Wives commiserate with wives and be like, we should get our husbands together.
That's real.
And that totally was a thing. And I don't remember if we collaborated on it, but certainly I know Rachel and I were like, we should get our husbands together. And so, yes, this is
we
very
ended up
intentional.
getting. We saw him at a networking event.
Yeah, so the way it happened,
That's true.
she
There it
mentioned
goes.
Kevin. I had no clue who she was talking about, etc.
Right.
And you was
And
like,
she's like,
"Nah,
yeah,
I'm
you
trying
know,
to be
meet some
I'm
guy.
trying
And
to
I'm
be
like,
no
yeah, all right, cool. Whatever, right?
So you talk about me, you say nigga on the podcast.
We can't say that. So then she and I got together with Rachel and James
Got it?
a couple of times. And so I started to build a relationship with James because we would go to like some of the real estate meetups. It's like, okay, cool. So then James was like, hey, there's this Airbnb thing and
I
I'm
remember
going
that.
to, if you're interested. I'm like, again, I'm looking to get game. I'm in. So then I go and he's one of the individuals there. You were actually there as well.
We were teaching.
Yeah, right. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So then I come home, no awareness that
Yeah,
this is the
still
same
not
person. Like,
connected.
never
Didn't
connected
put
up.
all that together, really.
Okay.
I'm like, yo, man, I went to this thing today, really cool information. Like there was this couple, like I liked how they vibed off each other, like working together. Because one of the big emphasis for us when I think about like real estate and entrepreneurship is the ability to work with each other.
Yeah.
And doing something that both of you guys are passionate about. Like you spend a lot of time, any individual, trying to provide, and that could be 50, 60, 70 hours a week. And if you guys are going in different directions, then that's less time you spend together.
Yep.
So when I saw y'all two, I'm like, that's it, right? Like, that's what I'm talking about. And so I went home and I was chatting with her about some of that. And I was like, man, there's this guy, man. I like what he's doing. I like his wife vibes. They click together, etc. And she was like, oh, okay, cool, right? So I didn't know that it was the same person. Never got it together.
It wouldn't have been a way to until the face popped up and it was
And
like
we
"That's
went
the
to
guy?"
another
It's like,
meetup, and I saw him there, and she's like, "Oh, this the guy that I wanted you." And I'm like, "Well, that's the guy that I was talking
Oh,
about."
shut up.
And that's
What
when
is
it
that?
was
We ain't
just
know about
boom.
none of that back.
No, that is really cool. I mean, to me, it's like the universe affirming and
That's
reaffirming
true.
for things to just fall into place like that. And I'm really in this super like, I'm not even gonna go there, but spiritual place and how
No, we're going to
things
have on the
just-
podcast.
We are. Things just kind of come together the way they're supposed to. And it's kind of like that, nobody can block your blessing kind of thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's
what's
divine.
what's for you is for you.
Yeah.
And so the happenstance of the meeting of the two of you coming across Kevin's path and then coming together and then us coming together, I mean, I just feel like we're supposed to do big shit together
For sure.
because
See,
the
now
way it
you
came
just getting
together.
real. Go ahead and get real. Let that
But I-
ratchet
I-
side
I
show.
might be cussing a little bit.
Okay, I have to cough. Make coughing cool in 2020.
Nah, coughing is still not cool.
You asking
And
a
it's
bit
too
much
As a
for that
person,
one.
as a person with year-round allergies, it's very hard
You
to
are late.
survive.
You saw the
It's a
memes. You don't get the
shame,
cough no
bro.
more. We don't get to do none of
Cough
that.
no more, I tell you.
Have you ever seen the one with
I was
the?
sneezing in the store, and the lady was like, she's like, don't feel bad. I was sneezing early because I was like,
Not me. I'm looking around.
And look,
like,
now you look at her. You're like, you was sneezing.
I know you didn't sneeze.
No,
like, it's just allergies. And you got to tell people it's allergies.
Yeah, right.
it is funny.
That's what they'll say on the horror movies.
What's super interesting is how God just like all these experiences, all these times, it just comes back like full circle, and then you look up and time has just passed,
Right.
passed, and you realize like you form this small community.
And
you
it
know
feels
what I mean?
as if it's still brand new for
Yeah.
whatever reason. But yeah, you look up and like you say, oh no, this is 2 years.
Yeah.
So,
Which is crazy.
It
Yeah.
is.
Absolutely
But
crazy.
I think even hearing you guys say that, something that really stands out to me, the positive compounding impact of time. Because it's easy to take time for granted. We're sitting here joking, but we're being organic. Like 2020 felt like a blur. And 2021, I literally said this to you, last night? I'm like, yo, we're pretty much 2 months in the
Right.
books.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
so ultimately,
First quarter almost gone.
it seems like we take a breath and you're at the end of every week, right? For those of us who are living in
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
blessing. I say that because time is steadily moving, and if we're not focused, if we're not intentional, then we miss those opportunities.
It's like what I was just telling you in the conference room. The lady was saying, you're going to feel real busy, but you have to prioritize your time, or else it's just going to,
It's
you
just
won't really be
evaporating.
doing anything. You'll be busy, but you're just busy like existing. You're not, you're fake working.
You know how
That
the wife
part.
will tell you something and then somebody else will tell you something. You're like, that is so profound.
I
No,
didn't say it was profound.
Kevin, I didn't say that you said it was profound. My husband is so technical, y'all. Y'all gonna see how he.
Man, move your swoop a little bit over to the left, man. You swoop that over to the left.
bang-
Listen, but I feel where you're coming from. I don't know if you say this. You know how you say something to your husband? No.
But remember, you're her and
Exactly.
she's me.
Because I'm like,
Okay,
hey,
that's
look,
all-
this is what it is. Boom, boom, boom. And she's like,
And that's a couple
and then she
dynamic
hears
we
it and
have
she's
with-
like, oh my God. Did you
What
hear
a novel idea.
But see, every couple that we're close friends with, I'm closer to the wife, and Aisha's closer. But it's the creativity and the mindset and whatever. And Aisha's very analytical, and she's very like unemotional and whatever. So out of the two, it always just ends up crisscrossing like
Well,
that.
and let me be clear too. I don't mind that. I'm just glad that the message is delivered. I don't care who the messenger is. I just, if you get the point, whether it comes from my mouth or somebody else's, I'm grateful for that.
But that's the same thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
No.
Sometimes
Sometimes.
that might be a specific husband thing.
Yeah, that's a husband thing.
yeah.
And I'm
Husbands
gonna tell
have
you
the
why
end
though,
back.
right? Because it's not about me for credit as much as it is about, like I said, hey, I'm interested in people who are interested, and I'm always seeking to get the information. I think too often we'll hear the right things from someone, but if we decide who we want to receive it from, and then you're wasting time, and you're wasting, again, it's another missed opportunity.
No.
So that's all that I think about is there is an opportunity cost to time.
That's real.
You know what I'm hearing? Control. You want the control. You want the control. Do this right now because I think it's a great idea. That's another husband and wife dynamic, huh? We ain't gonna go there.
Okay.
Okay.
Cough again.
Reset.
Oh, really? You really Rona coughing in here?
No. I'm
Yeah.
He's allergy coughing.
It was 20 degrees last week. It is 80 degrees outside.
All I'm saying
How do
is
people not get sick
coughing
with
is
that
not allowed
alone?
in 2021. I don't care if it's allergies.
Y'all gonna have to lock my black ass in a box because
like
I
your
have
box.
year-round allergy. You like my box?
Uh,
Hey, we
Y'all
got
are too-
friends. Don't
Too
get
cute.
don't
Too
get
cute.
crazy.
Help us.
Don't get crazy.
Help us, Lord. Help us, Lord. We are just so collective couples. Let me just say this before we close this point out. I think it's really important that you find your tribe, and I feel like we found our tribe in couples like you guys. We found our tribe in you. We found our tribe in a lot of the couples that we connected with, and I still think that there is there's something here, something that we need to expound on, and it's bigger than sharing collective economics. It's sharing with other couples. Like, how do you create this?
Yeah.
How do
Yeah,
how
you're
do
right about that.
dynamic couples come together like this? Because we are. I mean, I just think that's a space for us.
With a purpose, with more of a purpose.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
just
Especially black couples.
leisure.
Like, we need that in our community, right? Like, we need the power of union, of unity to help us all go forward, because it does take a village.
For sure.
So we were having a pretty dynamic conversation, I think, before we started rolling, about that I thought would be interesting to bring to the table, because stocks are hot right now. Everybody's talking about stocks. Everybody is Forex, and I get all kinds of crazy DMs about Forex. And I'm
You don't
like,
want an opportunity to make additional income outside your W-2 employment?
I think I'm good, but it's a lot of noise. It's a lot of noise about it. And Greg, you brought up a great point about, people who are in real estate are adverse to the stock market, and people in the stock market are adverse to real estate for various reasons.
Right.
And so if you could share a little bit about what we were talking about, and then maybe we could dialogue about that, because again, I just think it's relevant. I think everybody's always on the real estate train, right? Now everybody is stock market. What value do you think we can bring to the community, and how do those two things kind of play with each other?
That's a really, really good question. I think first and foremost, looking at the benefits and the purpose. We've used that purpose word, right? So like the purpose of investing in general is to be able to become more financially independent, more financially free. And those things on the surface gives you something more powerful, which is the ability to have your time, right? Like realistically, when you think about wealth gives you the freedom of time to choose how you do what you do, when you do it, who you do it with, versus having to be confined to a 9 to 5 or whatever that looks like. So that concept brings the second piece to fruition, which is it has to be a long-term mentality. I think for us in the Black community, because we are so conditioned from having to play from behind, we have more of a shorter-term approach, right? So with that, we get a little bit more speculative. You hear about somebody doing some cool things, and you're like, yeah, I don't know about that. Well, hey, this person and that person, they've invested in the stock market. That's too risky. Education goes back to the first thing we was talking about. We have to be educated, right? So whether you're talking about real estate or whether you're talking about investing in the stock market, the education piece is key. So when I think about real estate, I'll tie it to stocks in a similar way. So in real estate, you guys have a ton of experience buying, rehabbing, selling, buying, rehabbing, renting, new construction, right? The long-term sustainability is cash flow. Right? That's passive, meaning, hey, we don't have to wake up and go do anything for it. It shows up. So in real estate, that's the holy grail, is cash flow. It's the same thing in the stock market. So the way I would look at what's happening in the stock market is a similar way I would look at real estate. The more properties that you're able to own for a long period of time, right? The pay down, so you own the asset, the value of the asset increases.
You bought in low, it appreciates in value
right?
over
So
time.
hey, I buy a house today for $100,000. More than likely, I get a mortgage for $80,000. In 5 years, the mortgage is about $60,000 or less. But in 5 years, the house may be about $150,000 or more. So in the stock market, it's a very similar play. I buy companies that I feel really good about at a good price, right? Long term, I hold those companies. The value of that company goes up, which means the value of what I invested goes up. So that's the long term play. The short-term play will be more like the flipping, right? So, hey, I buy a property, I rehab it, 4 or 5 months, I put it back on the market, I sell it. That's kind of the stock market around Forex, kind of go that way, and then more so around trading.
Okay, so like day trading and Forex
very
are
similar.
flips.
Those are flips. Those are short-term activities.
No, they're not synonymous. They're similar, but
they're
they're
similar
not.
to flipping. He's
He's
making the analogy of flipping. And
I get that.
Got it.
Right, and so just like we know, think about it. What's more risky, buying a house, rehabbing it to flip it, or buying a house and holding it long term?
Buying a house to flip it.
And that's what the stock market is. So when you think about how you hear people that, oh my gosh, they lost this or this happened, more often than not, that's a person that's playing a short-term game.
So I really, really appreciate the analogy that you made to real estate, right? Because a lot of people come to the podcast because they're interested in real estate, marriage and real estate. But we also talk about wealth building, wealth creation, generational wealth and everything. And so for me, that made it very plain for me. I'm super real estate focused. And so for you to give us that analogy from, and Kevin looking, because I already knew that already.
No.
Oh, okay. I didn't see it that
there's
way.
a light.
Okay, I didn't see it that way, but when you put it that way, I'm like, okay, now that makes more sense to me. That definitely makes more sense to me. So, Ash, from your perspective, you see Greg trading and moving and doing. What have you gained from that? What role do you play, and do you have any role that you play in it? Do you care to play a role in it? Because there's some things
when
that
you
Kevin
married,
does.
you have a role in everything. So
That's real.
so I definitely have a role. One thing I respect, and I have enough comfort to know that he's going to do his research. So we've come from years ago in investing, which he will tell you, sometimes you think that you're making an investment and it's not. Like, if you don't actually have anything tangible to hold, then it's not an investment. Like, people say that, I invested in this, but no, you didn't. You just put money into that. That wasn't an investment. And we've done stuff like that before, but now, we're not playing those kind of games anymore. So, and not saying that some days aren't hard, but I mean, I know that he is constantly informing himself and sharpening his axe. So, I mean, you're going to take some losses to eventually, in the learning process of it all. But he is, he's astute. And he is one, when he starts to fixate himself on something, it's like he sleeps, eats, breathes it. And I mean, and that's what he's doing. So it rubs off on me because the stock is on every morning at 8:00. He's watching it. Kramer, whatever his name is. I mean, his voice is on every day in the house. And
Isn't
it's like,
that
so certain
money?
stuff from him from certain words that he used in terminology, like, I'm beginning to digest it because I hear him say it all the time. Yeah. But I mean, and so when I said in the beginning, I accept it because what did you ask me?
Don't ask me
The
to
role.
remember nothing.
Has it rubbed off on you, the role that?
So yeah. So anyway, in agreement, because we have to agree. Like, it's real money that's being put into the market.
So that's a good point. We have to agree. And I think all of us at this table, we all know each other's story. There have been times where we have been out of congruence and not agreed, and those were the worst times. And so we failed forward. Yeah. And we still continue to have failures, many failures, but we fail better, right?
Yeah. No, that's true.
I just think that's so important that you said that, because as couples, sometimes we have to learn this the hard way, the friction way, where one of us will make a decision outside of the other, and then we have that experience. That's us. I think that's another thing that's brought us together as couples, right? But also how now we fail forward, and it takes two of us. When you said, I was like, Greg does this. She's like, no, we together. This is together. This is a together decision. Right. This is a together, because when you have buy-in from your partner, when things go wrong,
that part,
we agree.
Right. I mean, because you both got to write the check when things go wrong.
That's the part, right? And I think, there had been a time in full transparency when you're learning on the marital journey. Yeah. You're two individuals to be in like a collective unit. Yep. That there was a sense of, hey, you do your thing, I do my thing. Mm-hmm. And then when you're trying to do your thing together, somebody may voice all their opinions, somebody may not. And if it goes well, then of course it's easy for us to be in agreement. If it goes south, then it's kind of like, I wasn't really feeling that, And you have to iron out those things. Like, whoa, you didn't say you wasn't feeling that.
Oh, that happens all the time.
That's a real thing. And so I think one of the things that I have realized that's probably rubbed off on her the most is, for a while we looked at opportunity cost. We looked at the time concept of money differently. Mm-hmm. And it showed, right? We made decisions that were kind of going in different directions at times. And so now when I think about the last 12 months, I would just say the last 12 months, how she looks at money is different, because
very different.
Once you are able to see your money make money for you and you not be involved in it, it changes the way that you utilize it It's more of a tool, right, to produce than it is to consume.
But see, that ties back into everything that we're talking about with wealth building and group economics and everything. It's how do you make that money that you have stretch with the money that we have and put it all together so that everybody, all, the tide rises all boats.
Exactly.
Right? Because the things that you've taught me just in conversation with stocks, I'm taking notes. Right? And I'm like, oh, Tesla here, all right, yeah.
Right.
Apple here, all right. Like I'm listening and I'm bringing that to my household, and it raises us too. So one of the things we started doing was fractional stock buying for the kids, and Matthew put me on that, and then you gave me the, hey man, this is doing, this what I'm invested in, this whatever. So I'm like, I bet. So I'm buying EXP, I'm buying Apple, I'm buying Tesla, and I'm looking at it from the longer term. 100%. So I might be throwing $50 here or there, but I'm looking at it from a 10-year view. I'm not looking at it from a 6 months view. I'm not trying to flip this money. That's why the amounts, while they may be smaller, I'm building something bigger.
Sure.
And that's the thing. I did a live a few weeks ago with one of my partners, and I'm like, we have to really educate, and this is self. Like, so whenever I speak, I like to say, hey, I'm speaking for me first, right? So this is like Greg in the mirror, but we have to respect the money. In our community, too frequently we'll say that's only $100. The return on that is only $1,500. Like, wait a minute, I can show you that $100 invested per month over 10 years, what that would look like.
That's real.
Right? With a specific return, because that's the power of compounding returns.
That's real.
Right.
And so I love what you said, because there's a misnomer with building wealth that we have to start with a lot of something. But that's not true. We just have to start, right? And we have to be educated to start. So that $50 or $100 a month can grow over time, and that's the game that we have to play, the long-term game.
But see, I was afraid of that, to be 100% transparent. Years ago, maybe 5 or 6, almost 10 years ago, when I first did stocks, and I did it on a speculative, no education, just trying some stuff or whatever, and I lost $2,000-$3,000 because, number one, I was buying stocks that I could afford to buy. Yes. I wasn't buying stocks that companies I wanted to own. I was buying where I could. So now, even with the introduction of fractional shares, it makes it more accessible to people. So I can buy Berkshire Hathaway at $700 a share, and I'm only buying $30 of it, but it gives me that inroad. Right? So that changes the dynamics too. But then also the education piece changes the dynamics, because now I understand money a little bit better to go, okay, this is not money that I need or I'm going to get back immediately. I'm making an investment in a company. Correct. If I want to flip, I'm going to go jump into Forex. I'll go jump into other things. Now, I personally flip my money in real estate. I build houses. So I don't need to do all that. I have enough risk in my day job.
Yes. You do. And indeed, you do. No, so, I mean, we always jump in and jump out. And I think it's great when we bring other people along, because it gives us more depth. Right. So thank you again for joining us, the Fassits. I really want to say, like, what this conversation brings for me, and that I want to share with everybody else out there, is that, like, get you a tribe. Like, get you a tribe that levels you up. And the Fassits level us up. The Allens level us up. Like, we are all leveling up. And we all serve in different capacities in real estate and stock market, in different capacities in our lives, but it all contributes to the growth of us as couples, right? For sure. The one caveat, like, we have the Marriage and Real Estate podcast and Marriage and Real Estate Clubhouse and all of these different avenues for marriage and real estate. You just have to want to be married.
That's the one.
That's the one thing. Like, this can all work, but you have to want to be with the person that you're with. And if you're having some challenges in that, you should probably fix that first, and then come handle the.
That's
a different episode. Space. We don't cover that.
And before you even go, when you say you have to want to be, you have to wake up every day.
So
but it's a decision, right? Yeah. You got to decide to be. And honestly, as a man, I got to decide to be the best man I can be every day. She has to decide to be the best woman she can be every day. And then we have to decide to be the best couple, partner, spouse, whatever, lover, whatever, together every day. Because I ain't going to make that many more days. And, it's hard out here. So I ain't fighting these streets.
So we will drop the handles for their Instagram because there's lots of edutainment.
And any resources.
There's lots of edutainment, education, and entertainment with the facets, and definitely.
We'll have to do this again.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And we're
back
working on
again.
some things, so there'll be more to talk about.
For sure.
Absolutely.
And then we can actually have another episode talking about just experiences that we had in the last year, 18 months,
Right.
12 months.
And a lot.
So,
As it has.
that time jumps real quick. But yeah,
Well, this has been the Marriage and Real Estate Podcast.
we out.